Rivals of Aether is a 2D fighting game that was released on Steam Early Access on September 22nd. It draws heavy inspiration from the Super Smash Bros. Series and carries over a lot of what has made Melee so popular to this day. The game promises fast, fluid gameplay that rewards hardcore fans who really take the time to learn all the advanced mechanics that the game has to offer. Anyone with prior knowledge of the Super Smash Bros. Series will have a bit of a head start, as this game does play very similar to those games, but with some pretty big changes, including the removal of the ability to shield and grab. For those of you not familiar with the Smash Bros. Series, this video will help you to learn the basics. Rivals of Aether isn't like your traditional fighting game where you try to whittle down your opponent's health with your attacks. Instead, it plays out much more like a match at King of the Hill, where you try to knock your opponent off stage so that they fall to their death. Players can be killed by knocking them off any side of the screen, including the top, bottom, left, or right. In order to achieve this, each character has a percent indicated at the bottom of the screen and above their heads during gameplay. Landing a successful attack will make this percent go up, and the higher the number goes, the further you'll be launched by future attacks. Using a combination of fast but weak attacks to rack up damage and then finishing off with a strong attack is the most basic way to achieve victory. Movement in this game is very intuitive at the surface level and should be easy for most people to pick up. The controls vary depending on the controller you use and your personal preference, so I won't be referring to specific button presses. Instead, I will just name the action. The left analog stick moves your character left and right, slowly if pressed part of the way down, and fast if pressed completely over. The jump button will of course let you perform a basic jump, which can be pressed lightly to perform a short hop, or pressed all the way down to execute a full jump. Pressing down on the left stick while in the air will cause you to fast fall to the ground. Keep in mind that you have to be already on your way down or at the peak of your jump in order to fast fall. While in the air, you also get an additional jump, or multiple if playing raster, by pressing the jump button again. Later, I will touch on some more advanced movement options, but for now, let's move on to the attacks. Each character in Rivals of Aether has their own set of attacks that can be used to defeat their opponents, but these attacks tend to have similar applications across all characters. The most basic form of attack is a jab. These tend to be very quick but weak attacks that are useful for getting opponents off of you, or sometimes for starting combos. Jabs are executed by simply pressing the attack button. Some characters can continue the jab combo by pressing the attack button multiple times in a row. Dash attacks are another very simple attack option that you have, and are performed by simply pressing the attack button during a dash. They are good for starting combos or getting in a quick attack on an unexpected opponent. Strong attacks can be charged up to deal major damage, but are often slow and predictable. These are great for finishing a stock or punishing an opponent's mistake. These attacks have a number of ways to perform them, most common being holding a direction and attack button at the same time, or simply by pressing the right analog stick in the desired direction. Tilts are kind of the in-between move that have more range than a jab, but are normally not as powerful as strong attacks. These are often most useful for spacing out your opponents or starting combos. They are performed by holding the movement stick in a direction and then pressing the attack button. Lastly, every character can attack with an aerial. These are useful for mixing up your approaches or juggling your opponent to rack up damage and go for the kill. Strong attacks and tilts have three different forms that often dictate their coverage. These include up, down, and forward variations. Aerials are similar to this, but also have a neutral variation. Every character has their own twist on these standard forms of attacks, so learning what every character is capable of is important for choosing the right move in the right situation. The last offensive option that we will cover is special moves. These tend to be more situational than standard attacks, but can really change how matches are played out. Each character has 4 special moves, which are performed in a similar manner as strong attacks. Special moves vary greatly between each character, so you will have to learn what each one brings to the table. The only true standard with special moves is that up special is always used as a recovery option. Though keep in mind that these tend to put you in a helpless state, where you cannot act until you touch the ground. Learning to use your recovery move effectively is necessary for making it back onto the stage so that you can continue the fight. So far, we've only covered your offensive options, and that is because Rivals of Aether is a very offensive-oriented game. That isn't to say that you have no way of defending yourself. The most obvious defensive option is the parry. It is executed with a simple press of a button and will cause a special animation that is different for each character. If you are hit while in this animation, your opponent will be locked in place and you'll be free to attack them. But keep in mind that they won't be stopped for long and you'll have to be quick and effective with your punish. The duration that your opponent is locked in place is dependent on the attack you were hit with. Stronger attacks will leave them vulnerable for longer, while weaker attacks will let them move much sooner. You can also roll either left or right by holding a direction and pressing the parry button. This can be useful for dodging an attack or repositioning around your opponent. If you attempt to parry while in the air, you'll perform an air dodge. This makes you invulnerable for a short period of time and even lets you change the direction that you are moving. Air dodging is a great way to mix up your recovery or even escape otherwise deadly combos. Keep in mind though, that you may only air dodge once while you are in the air and you will have to touch the ground before you can do it again, so use your air dodge wisely. Heavily inspired by melee, Rivals of Aether has many ways of increasing your movement options so that you can always keep your opponents guessing. Dash dancing is a popular option that is easy to perform in this game and allows for mix-ups and micro-spacing that can also be the difference between getting hit or hitting your opponent. It is performed by simply moving the left stick to the left and right rapidly, though getting the exact movement down in order to get the desired stage position can take some practice. Wave dashing is another popular technique from melee that is much easier to use this time around. It is performed by executing a jump immediately followed by an air dodge to either the left or the right. Wave dashing is not quite as useful as it was in melee, but it can lead into tilts or just let you back away from your opponent while still facing the same way. While touching a wall and holding left stick toward the wall, you can press the jump button to perform a wall jump, which is very helpful when recovering back onto the stage as it will let you use your up special a second time. This means that you can wall jump even if you are in the free fall helpless state, so mixing up your recovery with your double jump, wall jump, air dodge, and up special makes recovering to the stage very dynamic. These are the main movement options in this game, and all that I'll be covering in this video, but there are much more advanced techniques found already, and I'm sure there will be many more to come. This game may seem a bit overwhelming at first due to the fact that it is intended to be played at the competitive level, but even the button mashing noobs can have fun with this extremely fluid gameplay. Pros: competitively driven devs. This means that the characters are very well balanced and feel very fair, for the most part. Looking at you, Crag. Constant interaction from the devs means that any exploit or overly broken mechanic will be addressed as quickly as possible. Insane combo potential. People had decent montage videos up the day it was released, and it's only going to get more impressive as time goes on. If you love stylish combos, this game is for you. Low system requirements. This game can run on very weak computers, which makes it available to more people. Active community. Though you may get destroyed if you try hopping online right away, the community so far is very helpful and growing rapidly, which is good for the longevity of the game. Unique fighters. I didn't have time to cover all the fighters in this video, but each one feels so unique and fun that there really is a character for everyone. Dynamic stages. Tournaments tend to use very neutral stages, but for those looking to just have fun, each stage has a unique element that makes it very different from the next. Much more content coming. Currently, this game has 6 fighters, 5 stages, and only a versus game mode, but the announced content and linked content include a story mode, an ether mode, custom moves, custom colors, at least 2 more characters, at least 3 more stages, and much more. Cons. Early access. This means that the game is not finished, and so is lacking a lot of content that you'll have to wait for. Online issues. The launch has not been without issues, and some players are having a difficult time playing online currently. Huge learning curve. Don't you dare go online right now unless you're ready to lose. The similarity to the Smash games means the current community consists of very skilled players that will make learning difficult for beginners. Animation. Though it is all personal preference, the art style is definitely not for everyone, and some of the animations do look rather rough. Lack of music. Currently, there are only a handful of music tracks, so get ready to listen to the same ones over and over by default. No tutorial. In the current build, there's very little information for beginners, so you'll have to use external sources if you want to improve. Overall, this game has been a blast, and I recommend it to anyone who loves fighting games, specifically the Super Smash Bros. Series. If you aren't quite sure if the game is for you, I recommend checking out some of the streams of people playing it, or some videos here on YouTube. This is the first video of many that I plan on making for this game, so if you like this one, be sure to subscribe and check back later for more in-depth videos on the individual characters and combos in this game. And now, I'll leave you guys with this short clip that shows just what can be done in Rivals of Aether.